All right. Hello. How you doing, Hussein and Arif? Good to see you guys. So right now I wanted to kind of show off a little bit of something I've been working on. And so I've got here some Prism container extensions. And so I will say, like, Brian and I have gone around and around on some more advanced registration scenarios that I like to use, but he's not totally sold on including in Prism proper. And so, like, some of these here, you have kind of a factory method that you might need to use, or the big one for me, I like to do something in dry IOC where I might have hello, good to see we have people in Australia. So I like to register stuff where I might have an implementing type that actually implements multiple interfaces, but I need that to maybe be a singleton, or I just want to have one line that registers it, however many times. And you haven't missed anything, Alan. So anyway, so I've got these container extensions that I've kind of been working on a little bit. And one of the things here that's kind of interesting that I've approached is using a singleton approach. So that way, if you need to access the container from outside of the Prism application, you can do that, and you can always make sure you get that same instance. So that was kind of something I had been working on. And then recently, I actually started looking at Alan's Shiny project. And so that uses the iService provider and iService collection for Microsoft extensions. And so this actually will work with that. And so one of the things I want to do is kind of package this up. And there are a couple of things in here that that actually break really bad right now. So I don't suggest you use some of them. But like you'll see here, if I kind of uncomment this here, this will blow up really bad. It'll kill everything in just a second here. So we go from all of this working to it should blow up whenever it redoes its thing. So yeah, that's a fun little problem. Anyway, so what I want to do here is actually kind of come in to my Azure DevOps, and let's see which one here. Not mobile build tools. And so we're going to set up a pipeline. So what I tricked everyone with was saying we were going to look at the pipeline. So we're going to do that. And so we'll look at the container extensions in here and configure a new pipeline. And it'll go through and pick a whole bunch of useless things, because this is not ASP.NET. It's not a .NET Desktop, UWP, or Xamarin. And I haven't written anything yet, so we'll do a starter pipeline. And this is super basic, right? So it doesn't tell you a whole heck of a lot. So I'm going to get rid of pretty much everything other than the trigger here, because none of this is actually relevant. So in, like, basically before build, if you were doing a YAML build, you would have your pools that you might put in here. And so this kind of changes a little bit. So actually the root is now stages, because we're now looking at multiple stages, and I'll kind of come back to that. So we'll create the first stage. We'll call it build. Okay, fine. I guess it wants to go lowercase. And then we'll put a display name on this. So we'll say build NuGet packages. So this will be like the friendly name that it shows. And then in here, we can actually do multiple pools. So we'll, or no, I'm sorry, it's jobs. And then the job has a pool. And then, so we'll do job here. And then we'll build job, I guess. And let's see. I actually have to go back and look at one of my own samples here, because it gets a little confusing very quickly. Where is there? Okay. So yeah. So then we'll put underneath the job actually goes the pool. And then in the pool, so we want a VM image. Oh, I actually got IntelliSense on that. Was nice. And then this is, we're going to do Windows 2019. I know that only from doing this a lot and having it in front of me. So there you go. Don't feel bad if you don't know it. Let's see. So one of the things we want should be MS build as a demand. Oops. Wrong window. There we go. So we want, so demand will do MS build here. And that just says that whatever agent that we have needs to be using the Windows 2019 image, and it needs to have MS build, which it should have automatically, but you know, it doesn't hurt to specify it explicitly. So then one of the things that we're going to do, now I really like using the NuGet installer task. So we'll say NuGet tool installer. And again, this is just from kind of having done this a lot and having a copy of it in front of me. So then the display name will say install latest NuGet. And for the inputs, it has a version spec property, and the latest, and I mean, we can double check this. I like to like periodically update this, but so if we go to the downloads on NuGet.org, so you'll see they have 5.1 preview 3 and 5.0. But the latest that they recommend is 4.9.4, so we'll just use 4.9.4 for right now. And then, of course, once we've installed to the latest NuGet version, then we actually want the NuGet command. And the display name here, we'll just do a NuGet restore. All right, and then the inputs. Oops. I can type really, I swear I can. Actually, we can leave that kind of blank. I will say no cache though, just because I don't want it using the cache. Whoops. Wrong tab. And let's see here. I was MS build, that's what it is. Okay. And again, don't feel bad if you don't remember any of this, because I don't either. I have to look. I cheat. So MS build, and then display name will build projects, I guess. And then the only thing I do, let me see here. We don't really need to specify the solution, but I will kind of specify two inputs here because, and I don't have to specify the solution, by the way, just because the default is actually a wildcard, so it'll restore all, or at least it should theoretically. But I will specify that the configuration I want is release, and I'm also going to add some MS build arguments. So here I'm going to add a property for the debug type, and I'm going to set that to portable. And that should be good to go. At some point I can update this for doing the what do you call it, tests. You know, that thing that nobody ever does. But I'm not going to do that right now. And then this is actually the fun part. So it used to be there was a publish build artifacts task, and they've changed that. Like, it's still there, but what it's really looking for is a publish pipeline artifact instead. So we want to add that task in here. So it's a publish pipeline. Oops. Pipeline artifact version 0. And here we'll say publish artifacts. And then let me see, what do we want? So I need to see, and I don't think I've actually updated this, because all I have is just the README. I haven't done all my normal stuff. So let me just see. If I look in here, yeah, so I still need to do the generate package and all that. So actually, why don't I do that maybe real quick. 5.0. What's 5.0, Alan? I'm guessing he was maybe talking about the NuGet version. Yeah, so let me pull in a directory build props, and I'll kind of explain what that is as well. Let me grab one of them here. The one benefit from having a lot of open source projects is I can do a lot of copy and paste from one project to the next. So that part is kind of nice. Let's see. So if I add, oops, no, not existing project. I want to add an existing item. I'm going to add that. I guess we can go with 1.0 for right now. That can definitely stay the same. And then, how did I call it again? Okay, this one, container extensions, that's right. So the project URL, okay. And okay. Granted, I have not actually added the license yet, but that's okay. I'll add that later, or copy it in a minute, whatever. So no, it's not pop-ups. We'll say DI and dry IOC. How about that? And it really has nothing to do with Xamarin. I don't need any release notes for right now. Okay, so, oh yeah, okay, I should maybe pull in something else here. I guess while I'm doing this, I can, so my plugin and the license, okay. So I actually use strong naming on, or strongly named assemblies, which is kind of good for enterprise people. They really like that sort of thing. It's not so relevant, I don't think, for Xamarin, but it does help. So okay, so I've added those resources. Now I actually added the license too. And then, can't see it though because it's on my other screen. All right, so that should be good. And then if I come back, see if it'll pick it up or if I have to reopen. I think I gotta reopen it here. So let me close this and then we'll open it back up. Okay, so now it's picking up everything. We'll say Prism.Container.Extensions for dry IOC. And then for this one, container extension abstractions. How about that? Oops, it's not technically dry IOC, but who cares? All right, so now let me just make a quick commit here. So kind of, if I can, what is going on with my computer today? So we'll take our changes here. So you can just see what I'm adding. We don't care about that right now. And then we will add those files. And setting up for NuGet builds. And actually there's one thing I do need to take a look at real quick before I push that. I just want to make sure, let's see. I guess maybe the easiest way is just do it here. Yeah, okay, so it is generating a package on build. I couldn't remember if that was setting up there or not. Good Lord, my computer is going nuts today. Okay. All right. So now that that's there, oops, we don't care about that. So we'll kind of come back over here. So we want, let me kind of get back on track here. So we need the artifact name. And we'll call it NuGet. Oops. Oops. Oh no, hold on. That's why it's angry. And then the other one was target path. And so for that one, it's going to be build artifact staging directory. And then, because I'm sure somebody's going to ask how I know that, if I come back over here and I look at what I kind of have set up right here, you'll see that I have this little conditional property set, so the package output path. Normally, like if I build it on my machine, it'll be in the root directory under an artifacts folder. That's just kind of a convention that I've adopted. But then if I am on like Azure DevOps, where you have this build artifact staging directory property set, it'll actually use that instead. So that way I always know exactly where to find all my packages. All right, so that now we have our first stage done. So that's our build stage, right? And actually we can get rid of that. Is a cat mean that that's a lot of work? Or very complex or something? I don't know. I don't know what cats mean. And then we'll do a deploy stage, right? And we'll have a display name here, deploy NuGets. Sometimes I really hate IntelliSense. And then let's see here. Now here's actually really where I need to cheat, because I'm still trying to get used to this myself, and it gets very verbose very quickly. So you have jobs. Oh, what the heck is going on there? And then under the jobs, you have a deployment. And then the deployment, you can kind of give it a name. So we'll say that this deployment is myget, right? And what is going on with this stupid highlighting nonsense? Okay. And then we can give it a display name. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? So we'll say myget.org, and then you have an environment. So this is actually a new thing that's part of the multi-stage. So in fact, let me come over here. Let me kind of open a new window. Of course, I don't have it in here yet. Where I do have it that I can show you. I might have it over here. So, okay, yeah. So this is actually good. So, because I've been working on this on the mobile build tools as well. So you have like these environments that you can see. And so you see I have my myget, my NuGet environment. And then I can actually come into here. And then the resources is an interesting thing that right now they only have support for like Kubernetes clusters. But you could actually add different resources as part of your environment. And then you can see like all of the deployments and like the full deployment history into a particular environment. So it's actually kind of a neat little way of tracking things. So anyway, so we'll have our myget right here. And then this is where it gets like very verbose, right? So you have a strategy, and the strategy is to run one time or run once. And then we have a deploy, which actually that needs to be indented. So yeah, strategy, run once, deploy, and then underneath the deploy go our steps like we would normally have. So yeah, have fun remembering that one. And then this is going to be pretty straightforward, but I need to actually open up another example. Give me 1 second here. I need to stop looking at one where I'm deploying a Xamarin app. Nope, not that one. Yes, that one. Okay. Ah. So yeah, where is it? Okay, so actually I don't need that, but what I will do is add another task here, and this is gonna again be the NuGet command. And then so we'll say display name is NuGet push. Whoops. So I really hate IntelliSense. And then the inputs we're gonna have as command is push, and then the packages. Come on. The packages to push is going to be under pipeline dot workspace, and then I'm just going to do a wildcard and get all my packages there. And then the NuGet feed type is going to be external. And then we'll have some publish feed credentials. And I'll show more about this in a minute, just as soon as I actually get this set up here. And so it should be, and I'll have to actually double check this for this pipeline, but it should be myget Dan Siegel. So the way that we kind of check that, when we go back to the project we're in. So if I come down here into my project settings and I look at my service connections, so we have GitHub Dan Siegel, and then we have NuGet, and then we actually have this Prism plugins. Let's see. No, that's okay, that's a Git. So we have NuGet, and then we have, so actually the one I need in here is going to be this Prism plugin is my Git. So it's a good thing I'm checking this, right? And then what you'll want to do actually is come over into the policies and make sure you have allow all pipelines to use the service connection set to true, or just check marked, whatever. So we'll change that one. All right, so now this should like do everything that we need it to do. I'll still have to come back in here because I do package signing and a whole bunch of other stuff. But this should be theoretically a good first, place to go here. Okay, so we'll save and run that. I hope that wasn't too boring for everybody, by the way. So the good news is it seems like I did that fairly decently because I didn't get any kind of error. I have had more errors trying to figure this all out. But you'll see here, so we have like our build NuGet packages built and then deploy NuGets. So this is basically the stage, and then this is the job. So you notice I didn't have, well, actually if I come back over here and refresh, we should see our Azure pipelines now. And so you'll see here, I had the build job, but I didn't do a display name, which is why you see, oh, well, thank you for following. But yeah, so you see I had like the name, but I didn't have like a display name, so I just kind of used this name here. Either, oh, for frick's sake, okay. Yes, it was a creepy zombie. So this right here has been like the bane of my existence lately. Like everything wants to use .NET Core 3, but not at the same time. So I think what I'm going to do, just to make my life a little easier here, is I'm going to back this down to like 2.1. And then if I commit that and republish, that should theoretically work. Whoa. Did I not push? Oh. Okay then. I guess I didn't push it. So let me change that. So to net core app 2.1. Oh yeah. I don't know why, but I sign all of my commits as well because I'm all for security here, and for whatever reason it pops up on my main screen. Yes, it is source tree. Of course. Oh, I know why. Let me discard that. Well, I'll do a rebase. So basically all this is doing, if you're not super familiar with Git, is it was just pulling that commit that came down from Azure DevOps, and now I can push. And if we come back over here to our pipelines, you'll see we have a new build going. So we'll kind of give that a few minutes, I guess, to build. And then I don't know if Alan is still on or not, but we'll take a look at his shiny new project that he even helped us out and called Shiny. So yeah, that one's fun. And as you can see, he's very pro Prism. He's also very pro RX, which is awesome. So you get to marry these two fantastic ideas together. And so Shiny is a neat little library, if you're not familiar with it, that like the core of it allows you to easily do background jobs. And if he's still on, he can definitely answer more questions on it. But you can also do things like with Bluetooth and GPS location and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I guess let me go over to his sample and we can look at code while we wait for that to build. You're on audio only. No worries. But he is at least in chat too. So if you have questions, like you can ping him on that. But let me see here. So we'll go into the Shiny setup. And then, so he's kind of following this like ASP.NET Core mentality of having like a startup class and then using iService Provider and iService Collection to kind of register everything. So it actually creates this really interesting scenario where you have a container here, but then like for Prism, we also want a container. And that's kind of where the container extensions will really make it easy once we actually have a package that we can access. Really? Why did this blow up this time here? Oh, that's an easy fix. Hold on one second here. So if you were worried, by the way, about how I had to like manually do everything, I guess it hasn't percolated all the way down, but it's actually much nicer. Once you have your job set up, or your pipeline set up, and you go in here to edit, you actually get like all these tasks over here. So, you know, I can just pick something like, I mean, I'm not going to do an app service deploy, but you can see like you get the ability, like a little visual aid to configure everything. So you don't have to know all of the different like ways to do things. So much easier to do it this way, which is kind of nice. But anyway, so the one thing that I did not do that I always do on all of my builds, and let me just pull in a little something here. My mouse will cooperate with me. And so I'm going to change this just trigger master to a whole bunch of stuff. Copy, and then see there. So basically this changes my trigger. So now I'm batching, I'm only building off of master, but I'm excluding any updates to readme, editor config, or git ignore. And then kind of the same thing on PRs. But this is actually the thing that fixes that particular build issue because it didn't like my version number. So if I take the build ID and I set that to the name of my job, that'll actually fix everything that I need. So let me save that, and that'll kick off a update. I think it should anyway, right? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so back to, I guess, this over here. So this is really cool where you've got this container here. Donovan had a nice demonstration of this at build. Yes. Yes. I assume you're talking about the little helper when you're editing the pipeline, Andre. But this is anyway. So Shiny is really cool, and we're going to use it. And basically, the container extension is going to help us out because if we look at, let me go in here to the Android. So like one of the things that you kind of have to do is you have to do this host init, and you actually need an application class. Oh, cool. You know, I'll be honest, I've kind of totally tuned out of build this year because it was so cloud focused. I just got bored and didn't care anymore. So, but anyway, so you have this over here. So you're initializing this container with like iService Collection and iService Provider. You're initializing that down here at the actual Android application level, which is well before we've initialized Xamarin Forms and well before, yeah. I try to be honest. Depending on who you ask, my honesty is either my best or worst quality. But yeah. So anyway, so we're initializing this down here at the Android app level, and then you know, we have to still somehow get back into you know, our container. We have to have this linking between the two different containers, especially like when we want the dependency injection from our Prism container into a job, for example, that we have with Shiny. So, okay, so what's Hussein saying? I was surprised at how much Xamarin was actually mentioned when I was deciding to go. And okay. You know, it's funny, Hussein, because a lot of people that I've been talking to have been very upset that there were like 4 Xamarin sessions at Build. I've had like multiple independent people tell me that. Yeah, so that's why I didn't feel like spending $2,300 a ticket. It's ridiculous. So the other thing I thought was interesting on Build is they were selling tickets like at the door, which I think is like the first time ever. I remember in years past where I really wanted to go and I couldn't because I didn't get my ticket fast enough. So yeah, whatever. So let's see, did this really? Strong name of assemblies must specify. Oh my God. Okay. See, you try and do things nice, and this is like the problem in doing things live too, because you can see that I did not think that through. So to fix that error, basically what I'm going to do is we're going to just comment all of that out for right now, and because it doesn't want to support the strong name signing the way I have it, and I don't feel like dealing with it right now. I can fix it later. So turn off strong signing or whatever. Okay. What? Oh, I know why. I gotta fetch and rebase. Yeah. Yep. Definitely a spot for you at XamDev Summit. So, and if you haven't bought your ticket and you're watching, by the way, there is a promo code if you look at the bottom of your screen. So that will get you a pretty good discount. So, all right. So now we have to wait again. We'll wait for this to build. This is like the joy of doing everything live. It all goes right the first time. So let's see, how far did we actually get in this build? I'm curious. So we got down here. I got most of the way through, it looks like. So I think that might be the shortest NuGet restore I've ever seen on any of my jobs. I've got NuGet restores on some of my CI that's like 8 minutes. Yeah. That one's always fun. So, well, I guess while we're waiting for that to build, we'll kind of go way off topic, because why not? And I'll show you guys a little bit of what I'm working on with Mobile Build Tools version 2, since I've got a captive audience here. And so if we kind of come over here to this, I don't know if Chase is on here or not, but he's actually been very helpful on kind of spurring some ideas along these lines as well. But so one of the big things, I had a chat with Chase Florell, and he was kind of showing me some of the stuff that he's been doing, and it's actually really, really cool stuff where he's using the traditional app config, and then that way you can just kind of swap that out. And he's actually got some scripts that we're going to be kind of converting over in like a .NET CLI tool. And basically the idea is to take your app configs, and then after you've built everything, you just swap that out, but all your binaries stay the same. That way you can change environmental configurations, like you go from dev to stage to production, that kind of thing. So that'll actually be part of it, which is really neat. But one of the other cool things, for a while now, I've kind of supported having like a templated app manifest, so whether it's like your info plist or your Android manifest, those things can be templated. But the way that it was, I never entirely liked. Let's see if I have, so I've got a quick link I can show kind of on this, where you'll see that in this particular app, so my app is in here under source, but then I've got in the build, I have an Android template manifest and build template info plist, which is some stupid naming that I came up with that was just so I could say Android manifest XML and info.plist are excluded from Git, so they never accidentally get checked in. But then you were kind of maintaining like these two different files, and it wasn't very obvious. I mean, it was a really good concept. It just kind of sucked in implementation, if I'm honest. So what I really wanted was, like, if you have this where, like for App Center distribution on iOS, you have to have your app secret. Well, it doesn't really let you swap that out very easily. So it kind of becomes painful. And so in version 2, you're actually going to be able to keep this like as what you have in your info plist itself directly in your project. And then we'll give you an ability to swap that out at build. So if you're not aware of it, there's something kind of cool. And it's all open source from the Xamarin team. So the iOS or the iOS/Mac team and then the Android team, they both have a tooling repo that's totally open source, and I'm actually bringing those in and compiling with that in the project. So that way the same exact tooling that Xamarin is using to manipulate your Android manifest and your info plist are like, we can use that to edit everything at build time, which is really awesome. And let's see here. That was the old one. Hey, look, that worked. So now we have our multiple stages. So you all saw how easy it was to get that set up. So we've got our package built, and then we've got a deploy. And this is actually brand new. Thank you, Jesus, because I've been going absolutely crazy on this one. So the artifacts during like their whole private preview were all turned off. So they just lit that up. So we can actually come in here now and explore our artifact. So we can see that I've got the container extensions, I've got the symbols package, the draw IOC. So all of that's there. And then if I come over here, and this is how I end up with like 10,000, different browser windows. I'm sure you all do too. Let's see, sign in. And yes. So you'll see everything just kind of came over here, or where's the container extensions and dry IOC extensions. So all of that's there now. And I've got my multiple stages that are there. I can see my artifacts that are there. I can kind of come in here. I like this view a lot better. And then again, we've got the environment. So I can come over here and I can see that, I don't have any resources, but I can see the deployments that went to MyGet. So I've got my MyGet environment now, and I can see that that this kind of job ran against that environment. So just kind of a cool little change here in the multi-stage pipeline. Anyway, so let's kind of get started here on trying to consume that. Let's create a brand new project. And let's say mobile app. Sure. We'll say do a shiny Prism app. Actually, I don't know. Let me do it in demos. Okay. We'll do that as a blank project. I'm surprised that Hussein or someone isn't bashing me for not using the Prism template. So delete that nonsense because I just don't like the main page thing. And we'll put that. I am very particular in how I set my projects up. Oh, I know why, because I haven't logged in yet. Just rebooted, I think. Come on. Oh. Apparently it went to sleep. All right. Well, I'll come back for that, I guess. Okay. Okay, content page. And we'll do main page in there. And actually I need to see, I may not actually have that particular feed in here yet. So let me see if I come in here to my settings. Oh, I do have it. Never mind. Cool. So if I come in here and then I'm going to add Prism, I guess let me do an update real quick. You would think that they would have updated that to 1.1 by now. Kind of surprised I haven't. This is why the template should be open source. Just saying. Because I would have updated that by now. All right, so we have, we're going to look for Prism Dry IOC, or actually, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to look just for Prism Forms, because this is kind of the cool thing that we can do now. I'm going to go for the latest preview, because that's what I'm building against right now. Okay. And then, let's see. So that's on NuGet. We want to look at the plugins. And then try IOC. Okay, so we'll grab this extension here. Okay. Oops. I also really don't like seeing the app info. It kind of annoys me. So I'm going to drop that in another directory there. Yes. So I get annoyed easily, I guess. I don't know. So you can get rid of the application. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you know, when you've declared the type in XAML, you actually don't need it in the code behind. So like you don't need it there. I do not understand why in their frickin' templates they have XAML compilation at the assembly level and every item template is not needed. So we'll clean that up. And I still say like that should automatically be generated unless I need the code behind, but whatever. Complain about that more later. So with latest Prism, I'm going to say Prism library, and we're kind of done there, right? And you'll notice Prism application doesn't exist, but Prism application base does. Okay, and then update that. I guess over communication. What's over communication? There's an issue there. Okay. So at some point here, this will catch up to the fact that we have a new class. Why is this angry? That's very strange. Oops. I guess IntelliSense is just not very happy in VS 2019 right now. Let me increase this font size, make it a little easier. I should have done that earlier, actually. My apologies. Output. Why did we fail? Oh, yes, you did. You can find it. I wonder if we can use Shiny as a module in our Prism app. Well, you can use Shiny. So Alan is... I'm trying to think how to put this. Unlike people at Microsoft, Alan actually develops apps for a living. And I know there's going to be someone that gets really mad at me for saying that. So he understands what it actually takes. Like you need dependency injection. That's why he's using like iService Collection, iService Provider under the hood in Shiny. Why he's using reactive extensions as well. So he kind of, he's using, observables. He's using dependency injection. The actual sample app is using Prism because he understands that this is how you really make like real production apps. And so yes, you can absolutely use dependency injection to get your services. So everything does have an interface that should have an interface. And you can start jobs and stop jobs and access GPS and all those services, in a module, in a Prism module. Very, very doable. Well, I don't feel like dealing with, where is that? No. Whatever. Fine. Meh. Maybe I actually need to add that. I may not actually have that added in the namespace there. Wow. Apparently, Streamlabs got very, very angry, didn't you? Yeah. Alrighty then. Yeah. Thank you for verifying that that works, by the way. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was actually really funny. Oops. Back here. Okay. So actually, I think I might have just discovered an issue there where I guess I don't have the Prism namespace included in there. So I'll actually have to fix that. Anyway, so we'll come in here now. We'll implement the abstract class. So this should look pretty familiar to most people, I think. The only difference that something doesn't make sense to you. Eric, what doesn't make sense to you? So the only thing that that you'll notice here that you got extra from taking, oh, I meant my messages being deleted. Your messages shouldn't have been deleted, Eric. It should have only been Hussein for using all caps. Which I'll have to go in there and see about that, because it shouldn't delete like all of your previous stuff. But anyway, so the only thing extra that you have in here is this create container extension. And so this is where it gets kind of cool. So I've actually already got the namespace in here. So all I really need to do is, let's see. If I go Prism dry IOC, then I can access the Prism container extension, and I can just access the current one, and I'm kind of done. I really hate fully qualified, so let me do that. Yeah, so that's really all I have to do extra from what I would have done normally, and then I'm kind of done. And that's now, again, directly using Prism application base instead. And so let me just do like the normal wire up here, main page, and then navigation, service, navigate, and we'll go to main page. Okay. So that's really all you need, right? Let me see if I can connect this now. Hopefully it won't get all angry. Okay, cool. Looks like it's working. And I guess, well, whenever that comes up, we'll do like a test run. So I'm just trying to think what we can test real quick with Shiny. Oops. Hello, Shiny. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Oh, yes, that's right, because it's pre-release still. So we'll... I'm just trying to think. Let's just go with the core. We'll just do a background job just to kind of see how it works. Or actually, no. I'm not gonna do that. Let me do the locations. That way we actually have something to go with here. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to need some sort of GPS delegate, which you'll kind of get in a minute, but that's all right. Shiny location. And then, so for this, I'm just trying to think here. So we'll do, so we want the iEvent aggregator. Okay. I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm kind of lazy at the moment, so we'll say we'll say GPS reading event, and we'll make that a pub sub event. And we'll pass it the payload for the GPS reading. And then whenever we get a reading, we're going to take the GPS reading event, and then we'll publish it with our reading. So pretty straightforward delegate right there. And then next thing that we're going to do is we'll do a startup class. And so, not startup, there we go. All right. So we'll implement this now. And then we do need shiny locations. So we'll say, I don't know if I should do background or foreground. Yeah. I guess I'll do background, right? Because I think that's the one that requires the delegate anyway. Okay. That's actually all I really need to do for right now. And then, well, from there anyway. And then I need to create a application. Call it Android app. Okay. And then let's see here. You jump out. All right. Well, Arif, thanks for joining. Let me kind of come back over here to the shiny samples. Yeah, okay, it is this. So we're just going to go ahead and grab that, and it actually will kind of get ticked off if we don't provide some constructors, right? So we'll add that. So we'll include the shiny host now, and then we can initialize this. We'll say the shiny startup. Did I not make it public? Oh, I did not. Yeah, I'm not trying to. All right, so that's included. So, okay, so now we have this. We've registered our GPS delegate in here. And then it's obviously going to be doing a bunch of its own registrations. Now we've got the container, the special container from the other library that we set up our pipeline for. And so now the one thing that we need to do in order to make this all work magically is we're going to override the create service provider. So by default, what he's doing is basically returning nothing or returning null, and then he kind of creates his own service provider outside of it if that's null. But so here, what we're going to do is we're going to return, and actually I guess I need to bring this namespace in, or IOC and Prism dry IOC. Okay. So we have the Prism container extension. We'll get the current one. Now I will say, because this is actually getting called really from platform code, right, down in our Android app. So what I could do is I could say like new Prism container extension, blah, 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 right? And I can pass in rules, or I can create a container and pass that in, and it'll use that. But by default, like this just provides everything that Prism really needs. So that's kind of why I use that. And then if I don't do that, it's gonna just use all of the defaults automatically. So it'll automatically create the container for me. So, and then all I need is create service provider. So you'll see that there's a extension method. And so with that, I'm done. All I have to do is pass in the services, and now I've done what I need to do. So this is now going to get everything that was registered by Shiny in that service collection, as well as everything that I've added here. And it'll make it available within the actual Prism container itself. And then because I have this right here, so now my container is being used by Prism. And so everything that I register in here is going to be in that same exact container, and it's going to be accessible from everywhere. So when I come into this GPS delegate, for instance, it's going to be able to resolve iEvent aggregator. Okay. And so I believe the only other thing I really need to do here is I need to resolve, and I'm trying to remember exactly where it is. I think it's in using Shiny locations, I believe. So we'll say container.resolve iGPS manager. And then I guess let me just assign it for a minute. And then we'll kind of sanity check ourselves. So if it's not listening, then we want to go ahead and make sure that we start it. Okay. So, and then the beautiful thing about that, and I guess, you know, we could do this as well if we don't want to do it in our on initializing. I would imagine probably and I think Alan would probably agree, if we said on start, did it down here instead, probably be a better place to put that. I guess we need to make that async, don't we? So Shiny has an iStartup task as well. Okay. Well, if we use the startup task instead, I'm just trying to think. Would this fire before or after? Like, how would that relate to what the Xamarin application is doing? But anyway, so either way, we're making sure that when we start, we're starting that listener there. And then let me add a view model here real quick. And models. Okay. Oh, yes, I do want permissions. Thank you for reminding me. That would have been a very fun, why isn't this working kind of moment. Okay. So, where is it? Main page. So I know Alan actually has some good resources for us. Whoops. So if we kind of come back here, background jobs, maybe. Hey, Kyle. Thanks for joining. How was build? I have no idea. I'm not there. Oh, IGPS request. Okay. So I want the request access where, Alan? And I think you need to update some of this too. So, but we can grab some of this for right now. Thank you for the follow. And yes, I know who's saying we have a very creepy zombie there, which is why I kind of like it. So yeah, I guess I should update this here. Okay. Oh, in the view model. Oh yes, okay. Yeah. Well, there's actually, you know, one thing I really hate about doing it this way is there's somewhere I can copy paste for the, I guess in the Shiny sample I was just in, probably has all of everything I need. Pretty much copy paste the whole thing. So we'll grab everything because why not? I don't feel like going through and selecting individually. And I really hate that it does that. Good Lord. I'm very anal about all those extra spaces. Okay. There we go. I think we should be good on that. But there was something else. Okay. Yes, it was very expensive and just not what it used to be. Build is very disappointing from what it used to be. So, what kind of... Okay. So we'll add this here. Oh, actually, I didn't even realize. It's good to know, actually, that they have this now. For Xamarin Essentials. Okay. Goes to show what I know. Guess we should probably add that to our other projects. Okay, so if we have that, is there? Yeah. Got to bounce. All right. Thanks for saying. Thanks for joining. Glad that you enjoyed. Okay, so I think now we should kind of almost be there, right? We just need the IGPS manager, or is no, iEvent aggregator actually. And then we'll inject this. Right, and well, I guess I didn't really need to set it because I don't care about that. What I do want is just the get event and iGPS reading. I really do have like the worst memory ever because I can never remember what I called stuff 5 minutes later or 2 minutes later. Like I'm on another page. I've lost track of what I was doing before. Okay. So we'll generate that. And let me see here. I would think GPS reading. I would think this should work. I don't know. We'll find out. So we'll set the property here, reading, okay. And reading equals, I've got to remember some of these properties in here. What do we have? So we have altitude, heading. Okay. So we'll set the text here, binding reading dot altitude. So binding reading dot position dot latitude. Do we need to do that before we've started though, or can we wait till after we've started the listener? I'm just trying to. GPS, I guess we'll inject the GPS manager in here. So we need to do it before. So I guess maybe we'll take it out of our app then. Okay. And then we'll put it into our view model. And we'll say I navigated aware, or actually better yet, so I page life cycle aware. I'll implement that. And okay. So we're GPS manager. Okay. And then what was it? Request access, I think you said. We're not really specifying background mode, I don't think, are we? I guess we did, didn't we? I'll just say true. Why not? It's like, okay. I'm going to get rid of that altogether because we're not doing anything. Yeah. Okay. Close that. Okay, so we're requesting access. Oh, false? Okay, we'll do false. And it returns an access state, which I figure we should probably check for. Right. So let's see. So the access state should be what? Available, I think. Not set up to 9. Yeah, I would imagine we want it to be available and we don't want to be listening. So if the state is available and we're not listening, then we'll go ahead and start the listener. And then that will trigger iEvent aggregator to publish updates of the GPS reading event, which will allow us to then update our reading. And then theoretically that should update our bindings here. So let me just kind of grab this. So the longitude, okay. I think that should be good. And then let's see. Okay. For a change, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna see if this will work on the simulator, or if it blows up my computer. So if the entire stream goes to hell and you're wondering what happened, it's that I was using my Android simulator. Guest isn't online after 7 seconds. Oh my. I feel like it might be time to nuke this and start over. And I'm talking about my Android emulator, by the way. Didn't it? I guess maybe it got pissed off and decided to give up. I don't know. So I can't actually see any evidence of Visual Studio doing anything because Visual Studio is completely frozen now. And this is why I don't use my emulator ever, except for right now. See, where is Pierce when I need him? So I could like say, see, this is the pane that we have, right? It should work. It really should work. Guess let me try to kill this altogether here. It should, come on. We just spent all that time going on Android. I'll probably have to use either a device or the iOS simulator. Should be fun. I think, yes, it is very dead. It literally, it's not responding to anything. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Yes. So let me try and kill it. There we go. Now, either it's finally going to close Visual Studio now that it's finally responding again, or, you know, it'll probably do something stupid at like the worst possible moment. Okay, so let me just try going to my device here. And I really do need to put my screen mirroring app back on this computer. Okay. So here we go. So let's see this thing hopefully come up. Allow Shiny Prism app.android to access this device's location. Yes, I will allow that. And cool. So I got an update here. Oh, look at that. It is actually kind of changing a little. So you probably won't be able to see. I'll kind of hold it up, but if you can kind of see it, it is actually kind of updating. Let me make these fonts really big. So let's make it easier to read here. Yeah. So size, we'll say large. So boom, boom. Okay, so we'll redo that way, and hopefully make it easier for people to see. Come on. So the second time around, it's just a blank screen. Well, that's awesome. I don't know what happened there. Moment of truth. Yeah, the moment of truth, and I've got just a blank screen. So let me kill it and try to see what actually happens. So if I come in here, we'll see if I actually get my access state. Okay, so the access state is available. And it looks like we already are listening. Non-public members. Okay. So it's already listening. So I'm guessing it's already listening because of the previous time, but we don't seem to actually be getting anything. So I guess what we could do here is just put a breakpoint on here and see what's going on there. So Alan, see this is like a bug that you have, I guess, right? Because it did work the first time, but I made the font bigger, and now it doesn't want to work. And it's still a blank screen. I can force start it. Okay, how do I force start it? Is there like a force option in here? So I can do a new GPS, or do you just mean like don't care about the state and just go ahead and do it anyway? I guess maybe we'll try just doing that. You know, just start it. Okay. Okay. It did not like that at all. So it throws an argument exception that the GPS is already listening if I just try to force start. See, so we're not just like demoing something, we're debugging for Alan right now. I'm sure he's like super excited by that. I guess what we could do is we could say if we're actually, we don't care about the access state. Well, hold on. I guess we could say if the access state is not equal, oops, to available, we'll go ahead and return. And then we'll say if the GPS manager is listening. We'll stop it. And then we'll go ahead and start it back up again. Yeah, I know it's beta. It's a pretty good beta, though. You know, I would add another issue on GitHub that you should add like a force start, you know, overload or something like that. And, but, you know, I'd be afraid that your bot will just instantly close my issue again. So, okay. So now, if we can see that, hopefully you guys can see it. That is now updating. So we do have values in there. So the trick there was just to kind of stop it and then start it back up again. Anyway, so that is kind of in a nutshell kind of how these things can all play together. Very, very awesome job, Alan, on Shiny. That's really very easy to work with something like GPS now, or to do background jobs. I really do like it. You've done a great job. And then with that kind of, you know, the container extension really makes it quite easy to set up. So, Alan, I hope you agree. I know you were trying to figure out a way to kind of do this. But I mean, you can see here, the only thing that we've added is just this, you know, this one override here for the create container extension, which actually meant we didn't even need to bring in the container specific package from Prism. We could just use Prism forms directly, and then bring in the container that we want. So the only other thing, by the way, that you kind of miss out on from like Prism dry IOC.forms is the ability to get the container. And so I actually do have extensions in there for that, just kind of FYI. So if I just kind of, you know, do the normal container.get container, which I find that naming really amusing, by the way. But you'll notice I can actually come in here and there is a namespace available for it. It's just in a different namespace than what you would normally have. Simply so you don't have conflicts if you are using like Prism dry IOC specifically, or Prism Unity, you know, or Prism Unity forms. Yeah. It gets to be a mouthful. But anyway, if you're using the container specific package from Prism right now, it makes sure that those extensions to get the container are just in a different namespace, so that way you don't have the conflict, but the same extensions are part of that package. So anyway, I think that's all I have. So thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed and learned something new, and we'll definitely catch up next time. Have a good one. Hey, Dan here. Hope you enjoyed another wonderful episode. Be sure to hit subscribe and like so I can keep bringing you even more great content.